Good afternoon. My name is Joseph Jordan. I'm a deputy chief with the New York City Fire Department. I serve as the executive officer to the chief of safety, Paul Cressy. And in a couple of minutes, I'll have the privilege of introducing our mayor. The reason I'm here is I served as FEMA Urban Search and Rescue Incident Support Team leader in response to Hurricanes Irma and Maria in both Florida and Puerto Rico. We managed approximately 27 task forces in both those operations, but I'm here primarily because we were able to get boots on the ground from an incident support team and task force perspective in advance of Maria's landfall to Puerto Rico. That allowed us, and with me, let me just say that in addition to myself, I had 8 other members of the NYPD and FDNY who also serve as members of New York City's New York Task Force 1, one of 28 federal USAR teams. So we were able to, right after the storm hit, the next day when the winds subsided, we were able, speaking of winds, we were able to surge those task forces, all those resources, onto the island of Puerto Rico, as well as St. Croix that took a severe hit. The following day, we received a visit from the mayor of San Juan, and she outlined to us what she identified or confirmed based on our assessments were some needs in Puerto Rico initially. That included, of course, water, food, other commodities, shelter, water filtration systems. We were able to support her need for a sat phone, a satellite phone. We gave that to her. And that same day, we activated 8 other task forces, including New York Task Force 1 as one of 8 additional resources that went down. We determined early on that there wasn't a rich need for urban search and rescue efforts. However, there was a significant acute and severe need for humanitarian aid. And in fact, you see a couple of examples of what New York Task Force 1 did to my left in terms of that humanitarian effort. Due to a bridge collapse and a mudslide, there were numerous communities that were isolated from help. They were able to get a rope across a river and establish a ferry line to get commodities to those folks, as well as transport folks in need of medical assistance to hospitals. They were also able to get a number of healthcare facilities, including this one hospital, up and running. Their generators had broken down, and they were able to repair their generators and get them up and running. So I'll just leave you with, before I introduce the mayor, that there certainly was identified, and I can attest to the fact that there is a significant need for assistance. The island took an incredible hit with Hurricane Maria. So with that, I have the privilege of introducing our mayor, Mayor Bill de Blasio.
Thank you. Well done. Nice job. Well done. Well done. I just want to say, Chief Jordan, we are so proud of you and the whole team that was down there. This is a very, very powerful moment. New Yorkers feel so much for our brothers and sisters in Puerto Rico who are going through just an incredibly painful moment. But we are so proud to know that our first responders were there making a difference from the beginning. And it just, you know, it's so painful to watch the images of what is happening in Puerto Rico. But in the midst of this disaster, there are some beautiful stories. And one of those stories is what our men and women, FDNY, NYPD, OEM, what they have done to help the people of Puerto Rico. And Chief Jordan, I want to thank you. You were in the first wave. You made a huge difference to all of your team. Let's thank them for everything they have done. Well done.
Thank you, sir.
Well done. These images speak volumes. I mean, imagine when people can't even get to medical care. Look at this flooding here. They can't even get to medical care. They can't get supplies. And help did not come the way it should have. We have to understand how much it meant to people in Puerto Rico that New York City personnel were there to help. And I want to say at the outset, I have spent a lot of time in Puerto Rico, and I've spent a lot of time in the Puerto Rican community in this city. And the Puerto Rican people are hardworking people. They are resilient people. They are strong people. They have been through a lot, and they keep coming back. And there was a very troubling moment a few days ago when President Trump suggested there's something wrong with the Puerto Rican people. There's nothing wrong with the Puerto Rican people. The only thing that's wrong is the United States' response to this crisis, which has been insufficient. And we have stepped in with everything we have to try to fill that gap. 3.5 million of our fellow Americans going through a disaster that we can't even fully imagine. I'll give the example of our neighboring state of Connecticut. It's about the same population as Puerto Rico. Connecticut didn't have electricity. If Connecticut didn't have enough food and water, if you couldn't drive the roads of Connecticut, the entire United States military would be there fixing the situation. But we don't see that in the case of Puerto Rico. 3.5 million people, just as American as any other people in this country. So we've got to keep pushing the federal government to do more. But in the meantime, we will keep doing more and doing everything we can to help Puerto Rico. Our personnel down there have been outstanding. And I've heard such powerful stories back of what they have contributed to the people of Puerto Rico, the impact they've made already. And I want to emphasize more help is on the way. You see right here, and I want to thank everyone who's been a part of these collection drives and our emergency management leadership. I want to thank everyone at the Office of Emergency Management because they have been so focused on creating ways to get help down to Puerto Rico as quickly as possible. But you see behind you what's happening as a result of the donation drives all over the city. The donations are coming in to firehouses and EMT stations and to police precincts. Just extraordinary generosity we're seeing from the people of New York City, and it keeps growing and growing. Because New Yorkers understand this is not a problem that's going to be solved in a few weeks or a few months. We have to be with Puerto Rico for the long haul. So these donations are an example of what people feel for Puerto Rico. And they're going to be shipped out soon. Everything you see behind us is going to be shipped out soon and get into the hands of people in Puerto Rico who need it. I want to thank all New Yorkers who have given. I want to ask you to keep giving. Thanks so much. I want to ask you to keep giving because the need is so great. And everyone, please, do what you can. Every little bit helps, because imagine what it would mean to people who just don't have enough of anything right now, that we're going to stay with them. So if you can give these kind of donations, please do. Again, firehouses, EMS stations, police precincts. If you want to know where, go on nyc.gov/donations. You can find the locations that you can go to in your neighborhood. If you want to give money to the relief effort, you can do that at the Mayor's Fund, nyc.gov/fund. I keep telling everyone I think it's important, and please include this in your reporting, members of the media. The New York City effort, we are trying to get 5 things, 5 types of help, and 5 types only. Diapers, baby food, batteries, first aid supplies, and feminine hygiene products. I'm going to say it again: diapers, baby food, batteries, first aid supplies, and feminine hygiene products. That's what Puerto Rico needs, that we are focused on. Folks have tried to give other things. I know out of the goodness of their heart. Please don't do that through the New York City drive, because we've got to focus on these particular needs, because the other efforts are not covering enough of these things. So that's where we have to be strong. Specifically, we are not asking for bottled water. That is being handled through other means. So please do not bring bottled water. Help us focus on these other needs. An update for everyone right now, and I'm so proud of each and every one of these New Yorkers who's at the front line making a difference. And they're sacrificing a lot. I want to tell you, every member of this city government who's down there, every New York City employee who's down there is sacrificing. They're in very tough conditions helping people. They're away from their families, but they're doing it because they believe it is their mission to help people in need. And I really want to honor them. There's 158 New York City employees down there from OEM, fire department, police department. The buildings department has people there because they have to check buildings to make sure they are safe for people to be in. We have people who are helping in every way to get Puerto Rico back on its feet. 158 already, and tomorrow more are headed down. Over 50 more New York City employees will go down tomorrow. 31 from the sanitation department to help clean up debris, 22 from Department of Buildings and from our housing department to help with building inspections and to make sure buildings are safe so people can go back in them. And the devotion to duty and the heroism. Look at this operation here in this flooding. That's a dangerous and risky operation, but our personnel were out there at the front line, NYPD and FDNY rescue team right there, and here bringing this hospital back online. Imagine what it means to a community that people from this city, our first responders, went there and got this hospital up and running again so people could get health care. It's amazing, amazing impact that's being made. So we know what we have to do, and we have to keep the pressure on Washington. And I know you'll hear that from some of my colleagues as well. But this is not even debatable. The scale of this disaster is obvious, and we have to have an attitude of all for one, one for all. We went through Sandy. We needed help. It should have been automatic. It became a big partisan battle. I was pleased to see less of a partisan battle after Harvey, for example. But what's good for one should be good for the other. It should be a given in this country. If any part of our country goes through disaster, we're all there for them, starting with our federal government. Just a few words in Spanish. Los puertorriqueños están luchando por sus vidas y estamos haciendo todo lo posible para ayudarlos. Aquí estamos preparando nuestras donaciones para enviarlos a Puerto Rico. También les pedimos que llamen al 311 para saber cómo pueden enviar sus donaciones monetarias. Nueva York está y seguirá estando con Puerto Rico en este momento difícil. With that, I want to turn to one of the leaders of this great effort, and I want to thank him and everyone at the Office of Emergency Management. They have not only helped at the front line day in and day out, they've helped the city of San Juan to build up its emergency response capacity, not just for now, but for everything ahead. And it's been an incredible collegial effort with our sister city in San Juan. They've done great work with the entire Commonwealth of Puerto Rico, working with FEMA. My pleasure to introduce our Commissioner, Joe Esposito.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, folks. A lot's been said about what we did. I just want to go through a bit of a timeline on when we went down there, what assets we went down with, and what they did. So Maria made landfall in the Caribbean as a Category 5 on the 20th of September. The New York Task Force 1, the urban search and rescue team that the chief was talking about, was activated on that day. They hit the ground on the 23rd of September. That was a 36-person team. They had a number of search and rescue dogs with them also, and Dr. Gonzalez from the FD was down there. This is Dr. Gonzalez right here, and he has been instrumental in delivering medicine and needed supplies and medical care to folks. Him and some EMTs were down there. So he did a terrific job. We're glad he went down there with them. Then on the 23rd also, New York City Emergency Management Team went down. 10 of our members with some building department folks, CAU from City Hall, and 8 volunteers from the PD's Hispanic Society went down, along with the speaker's team and her crew went down on a plane on a Saturday morning. The USAR team has been working search and rescue. That's their main assignment is search and rescue in the town called Utuado. No, I got it. Utuado. I got it phonetically now. Utuado. But again, a lot of that transferred into wellness checks and other type of the needs. That we met the needs. The search and rescue really went quickly, and it transitioned, as the chief said, into wellness checks and delivering supplies and things, into cut-off areas, delivering food, water, and medical supplies. As the chief said, their incident management team was down there. That's a 64-person team of FD members. They go down and they help manage the situation. Not in the field like the search and rescue, but they managed the event. As did the New York City emergency management teams. We're working with both the city of San Juan and the governor's office. We set up helped them set up 2 emergency operations centers. Again, working directly with the mayor and the governor, we helped them organize their response. They were decimated. Their emergency operations centers were destroyed. The people couldn't get to work. So we really helped out a lot to get them to coordinate the efforts. We continue to assist. We're working every day closely with the mayor of San Juan and the governor to facilitate additional requests for resources and assets. Again, supplies are coming in. As you see, we're loading them up here. We get them down there. Our teams get them from the airports, get them from the docks, get them to the Coliseum, where they're giving out. A number of the mayors will send teams there and take those assets, not just to San Juan, but to the other areas of the island that need the assets. I want to thank the City Hall staff has dedicated their time and skills to work on behalf of our fellow Americans down in Puerto Rico. They're hard at work, and they'll be there for as long as they have to. We've sent down 3 teams, and we have a 4th team ready to relieve one of those teams in the near future. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Joe.
Okay.
We have had a very, very strong partnership in this effort with the City Council, and helping us to build every step of this operation has been the Speaker. This is obviously for her a labor of love. Her connection to Puerto Rico couldn't be deeper. And she has helped us to determine every step of the way what we could do that would have the biggest impact. I want to thank her for her leadership, including all she did on the ground when she was there on her visit. My pleasure to welcome Speaker Melissa Mark Viverito.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and to all the colleagues that are here, and obviously to Commissioner Esposito, who's been an incredible ally in this process. I just wanted to come out and to thank the mayor personally for the attention that he has paid, for sending staff and resources, obviously the collection drives that are happening, really important. But I think it cannot continue, and I want to thank the press, too, for continuing to stay on this story. As more time passes, some people may have that sense that things are getting better, and they still are not getting better. We have still 95% of the island that does not have electricity. The chief talked about helping this medical center, but most of the hospitals are running on generators. And the medical infrastructure is severely debilitated right now. And that obviously is really is a critical need. So this administration has just done some incredible disservice to the island of Puerto Rico, to the Virgin Islands as well. Where our citizenship doesn't merit the attention that other tragedies or other relief efforts have merited. And so we got to keep calling that out. We still do not have enough personnel on the ground. There is a lot of innovation. There is a lot of creativity happening on the island. There are a lot of organizations that on their own are going into communities to provide relief, that are helping to clear the roads. But that alone will not help Puerto Rico move to the next phase or to the next step. We need the support and we need the resources from the U.S. government, and they're still woefully lacking. And so we need to continue to put the pressure on Trump, who obviously has very limited attention span and does not want to focus on the severity of the catastrophe here in Puerto Rico. It's a reality. People's lives can be at stake when we have such a fragile health infrastructure. Obviously, is the way it's operating right now is not enough. But I want to thank everyone that has donated. We have our partner here also in the Hispanic Federation. I know the Mayor's Fund is accepting donations. The Hispanic Federation is accepting donations, and that those donations will go directly to those organizations on the ground that are doing the direct work with the people of Puerto Rico. But again, we need a lot more support from the federal government, and that's where my focus will be. And I know we have a great congressional delegation that is also helping out. And so we got to make sure that the focus is not lost. So thank you to all New Yorkers that have given. Thank you to the mayor, and our partnership is strong and will continue. And I'm hoping to get back down in the next couple of days to Puerto Rico and do some follow-up as well. So thank you.
Thank you very, very much. And now representing this community, and we appreciate what everyone has done in this immediate area to support the effort, and obviously what's being done right here in this warehouse to prepare these shipments for Puerto Rico. My pleasure to introduce Councilmember Antonio Reynoso.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. I just want to first and foremost thank the communities of Bushwick and Williamsburg who've gone above and beyond the call to assist Puerto Rico in this disaster relief. I'm honored to be able to have OEM in the district, and that given that this is probably the largest population of Puerto Ricans in Brooklyn is North Brooklyn, for this site to be very close to home, it means a lot to us, and we want to make sure that this facility continues to do everything it can to support Puerto Rico. Mi gente, es un placer poder estar delante de ustedes hoy hablando del progreso que hemos hecho aquí en la ciudad de Nueva York para asistir a los puertorriqueños en la isla. Sabemos que lo que hemos visto en el gobierno federal no es algo que estamos acostumbrados de ver sobre ayudando a ciudadanos, pero aquí en la ciudad de Nueva York hemos hecho todo lo posible para asegurar que sigamos viendo progreso y ayudemos con todo lo posible a la isla de Puerto Rico. Muchas gracias por su tiempo. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councilmember. I want you to hear from the other two representatives of this district we're in now, but I also want to thank for all the hard work in their own communities on behalf of this collection drive for Puerto Rico. I want to thank Councilmember Annabelle Palma for her great work in the Bronx. Thank you so much. And I want to thank for his great work in Sunset Park and Red Hook Assemblymember Felix Ortiz. Thank you for your great efforts as well. Now, my pleasure, and also I have to mention, for his efforts in a nearby community, Assemblymember Eric Delong. Thank you so much for all you are doing. Now, my pleasure to introduce Senator Martin Malave Delong.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. First, I want to really thank and commend all the first responders and their family for their sacrifice in this effort. I want to thank all New Yorkers, especially those in the 18th senatorial district that have contributed and have had an outpouring of support in making their contributions. But most of all, I want to thank the mayor of the city of New York for understanding the real problem in Puerto Rico and not the fake news coming out of Washington, D.C. And I also think it was really a farce for the President of the United States to go to Puerto Rico and visit one of the wealthiest communities and probably with the less need. I think that we understand here in the city of New York, and this administration understands. And I'm going to thank you, Mr. Mayor, for providing the resources and helping to bring Puerto Rico back together again. And I know with all our efforts, Puerto Rico will be better than ever. Continue your contributions. Gracias a todos.
Thank you so much, Senator. Well, again, thank you to everyone, to all the leaders here. Thank you again to the Hispanic Federation for the great work that you are doing. My final word to everyone is we're going to be in this for the long haul. And I really want to emphasize the point the speaker made. You know, I'm glad there are some Puerto Ricans who have their electricity back. Well over 90% do not have electricity. It's been several weeks. And we all know it's going to be a long time just to get the most basic things back. And so there is that temptation after a crisis to start to turn attention to something else. We can't turn our attention. This is a crisis like none we have seen in any other part of this country. And for us, Puerto Rico is a part of us, and we are a part of Puerto Rico. So we are going to be in this for the long haul. Thank you, everybody.